My sister mocked me. You're not family anymore. So I did something none of them expected. My name is Daniel Carter. And if you had asked me a few years ago whether my family was close, I would have smiled and said yes. We weren't perfect, but we were together. I believed that until one winter night in Denver, when life proved me wrong. I had just finished a late shift at the auto shop. Snow was falling quietly, covering the streets like a white blanket. I was exhausted and ready to sleep when my phone rang. It was Mom. Linda Carter. Her voice shook. Daniel, it's your dad. He collapsed. The world blurred. Mom, where are you? St. Luke's Hospital. Please hurry. I don't even remember the drive. I burst into the ICU and found Dad, Michael Carter, connected to wires, machines beeping rhythmically. He looked small, fragile, nothing like the strong man who raised me. Mom sat beside him, her eyes red from crying. He was asking for you, she whispered. When Dad saw me, he managed a weak smile. Danny, my boy. I squeezed his hand. I'm here, Dad. I'm not going anywhere. I stayed there for 3 days straight, sleeping in chairs, handling doctors, bringing food for Mom, signing forms, making decisions. And in all those days, my older sister Jessica didn't show up once. But when she finally did, it wasn't for Dad. It was for something else. On the 4th day, while Dad was still fighting for every breath, Jessica walked into the room like she owned the place. Designer coat, perfect hair, fresh manicure, holding her phone, texting non-stop. Mom stood up, hopeful. Jess, thank God you're here. Yeah, she said casually. Is he awake? We need to talk about the will. I froze. Jessica, I said quietly. He's very sick. So, she shrugged, this is the best time. We need clarity. Dad opened his eyes slowly. Jess, come here. She walked to the bed, arms folded. Dad took a breath. I want you both to hear this. Mom grabbed his hand. Michael, please don't stress yourself. He looked at me with soft eyes. Daniel, you've always been by my side. You've helped me, cared for me. You're my strength. I want the house to go to you. Jessica's jaw dropped. What? Dad continued. You've earned it, son. Jessica's face twisted with rage. This is a joke! Daniel, the younger one, the mechanic, you're giving the family house to him? Jess, Dad said weakly, this is not about... She cut me off and pointed at me. He doesn't even count as family anymore. Mom gasped. Jessica! But she kept going. He's useless. He's done nothing with his life. Why should he get anything? Dad's heart monitor beeped faster. A nurse rushed in, telling us to step back. Jessica didn't care. You want to betray me? Fine, but don't expect me to stay in this family. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the glass shook. Dad turned his head toward me, tears in his eyes. I'm sorry, Danny. I swallowed hard. It's okay, Dad. I'm here. But inside, something broke. 2 days later, at 2:14 a.m., my phone rang. The call no one wants. Dad was gone. Mom cried like her heart had been ripped out. I held her as she collapsed into my arms. Jessica did not answer her phone. Not once. At the funeral, she arrived an hour late, sunglasses on, acting annoyed. Mom, with broken voice, asked, Jess, would you like to say something about your father? Jessica shrugged. I think he already knew how I felt. I clenched my fists, but stayed silent. After the burial, she walked up to me like nothing happened. I'll meet Dad's lawyer tomorrow, 10 a.m. Don't be late. I stared at her. Jessica, Dad just died. Can you think about something other than property? She smiled coldly. No, and if Mom doesn't hand everything over, I'll take her to court. Mom stepped back, shocked. That was the moment I realized Jessica wasn't just selfish, she was dangerous. And no matter what happened next, the family would never be the same again. The next morning felt unreal. Dad was gone. The house felt empty. Mom barely slept. Still, we drove to the law firm because Dad wanted his affairs settled properly. Jessica arrived last and loud. She stepped out of her SUV in a bright red coat, holding a latte like she was stepping into brunch, not her father's will reading. She didn't look at Mom. She didn't greet me. She just said, "Let's go. I have another meeting after this." Inside the office, Mr. Douglas Wright, Dad's longtime attorney, greeted us. Jessica didn't even let the man speak. "Okay, so let's hear it. Dad wanted me to have the house, right? I mean, obviously." Mr. Wright blinked slowly. "Actually, no. According to Michael Carter's signed will," he looked at me, "the house goes entirely to Daniel." Jessica's head snapped toward him. "What?" Mr. Wright continued calmly. "Your father updated his will over a year ago. He stated that Daniel had been there for him consistently, and he wanted to reward his loyalty." Jessica laughed. A short, bitter, mocking laugh. "Wow, this is unbelievable." Mom whispered, "Jessica, please stop." But she exploded. "You think he deserves it?" she screamed. "He's a nobody, a mechanic, and Dad chose him over me?" "Jessica," Mr. Wright said sternly, "your father made this decision with full clarity." "No, I'm not accepting this." She slammed her hand on the table. "I was his firstborn. I deserve everything." Her face turned red with pure fury. She leaned toward me, eyes burning. "You are not my family." She jabbed her finger into my chest. "You hear me? Not family, not blood, not anything." Mom gasped. Mr. Wright stood up, shocked. Jessica grabbed her purse and stormed to the door. Before leaving, she pointed at both of us. "You two can rot together. I'm done." And she was gone. Mom broke down in quiet sobs. I placed my arm around her, feeling something inside me harden. Not anger, not hatred, but a realization. Losing Jessica was freedom. Driving home, Mom stared silently out the window. Her hands trembled on her lap. "She's my daughter," she whispered. "How did she become this person?" I had no answer. When we reached home, Mom walked into Dad's room and touched his old cardigan hanging on the chair. She broke down again. "I can't stay in this house anymore," she said softly. "Every corner reminds me of him, and now Jessica hates me too." I stepped closer. "Mom, if this house hurts you, we leave. I don't care about property." She looked at me with tired eyes. "You'd really give up everything?" I nodded. "You're my mother. Houses can be replaced. You can't." She cried harder and hugged me. That night, while I packed my clothes, I glanced around the house one last time. Dad's tools, his guitar, the family photographs. We weren't leaving a home. We were leaving a battlefield. We found a small 2-bedroom apartment on the east side of Denver. The walls were dull beige. The heater rattled, the kitchen was cramped, but it felt like a reset, a fresh start. Mom cried the first night, not out of sadness but relief. "This place is small," she said, wiping her tears, "but it's peaceful." And it was. No screaming, no arguments, no threats, no Jessica. I took extra shifts at the shop to handle rent and bills. Mom cooked and tried to adjust to a simpler life. Slowly, the tension left her shoulders. She smiled again. She even planted a little basil pot on the windowsill. One evening, she asked quietly, "Do you miss your sister?" I thought about it. I miss the version of her that never existed. Mom nodded sadly. But we both knew the truth. Life without Jessica's toxicity felt lighter. Life had finally settled. The pain softened. The days felt normal again. Until one cold evening, there was a knock at our apartment door. Mom opened it and froze. Jessica stood there, her hair messy, eyes swollen, jacket torn, mascara streaked, hands shaking. "Mom," she whispered, voice cracking. I have nowhere to go." Mom gasped, "Sweetheart, what happened?" Jessica took a shaky breath. "My husband left me. The house, I couldn't keep up with payments. They're taking it back. I lost everything." She burst into tears. I stepped forward, stunned. The sister who once said I wasn't family was standing at my door, broken. Jessica looked at me through tears. "Daniel, I'm sorry. I was wrong." I didn't say anything. Not yet. The moment hung in the air like a held breath. Mom cried and reached to hold her. And that's when I realized karma doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it walks to your doorstep in silence, wearing familiar shoes, carrying regret. Jessica stood at our doorway, shivering, crying, broken in a way I had never seen before. She wasn't the confident, loud, self-obsessed woman who stormed out months ago. She looked like someone life had hit hard, very hard. Mom immediately pulled her into a hug. "Oh, honey, come in," she whispered, stroking her back like she used to when Jessica was a little girl. Jessica stumbled inside and collapsed onto the couch, covering her face with her hands. I stood near the doorway, arms crossed, watching her silently. I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel revenge. I didn't feel triumph. I felt conflicted. This was the sister who once told me, "You're not family anymore. You're nothing. You don't deserve anything." And now she was here, at my home, because I was the only person left she could come to. Mom sat beside her, holding her hand. "What happened, sweetheart?" she asked gently. Jessica wiped her tears with shaky hands. Everything fell apart." She looked at me briefly, then looked away, ashamed. I fought for the house, but I couldn't afford the mortgage. My husband got tired of my attitude. He left. My friends disappeared, and nobody wants me around anymore." Mom gasped softly. "Oh, Jess." Jessica cried harder. "I thought I could handle everything. I thought I didn't need anyone. But I was wrong. I was stupid and cruel." She turned to me finally. "Daniel, I treated you horribly. I said awful things. I was jealous. Dad loved you. Mom trusted you. And I couldn't stand it." I didn't respond. Not yet. I needed to hear everything. Jessica sobbed harder. "Please, can I stay here just until I figure things out?" Mom looked at me with pleading eyes. "Danny, say something." I took a slow breath. "I'm listening." Jessica nodded, wiping tears. "Then let me explain." Jessica stared at the floor, trying to gather herself. "I know I acted like a monster, but I wasn't always like that." Mom stroked her back. "What changed, sweetheart?" Jessica sniffed. "Everything changed when I realized Dad trusted Daniel more than me, and it hurt. I thought being the older one meant I deserved more love, more attention. But Daniel, he was always closer to Dad." Her voice cracked. "And instead of talking about it, I let jealousy turn me into a terrible person." She finally looked at me. "I'm not saying this to justify what I did. I'm saying it because I want you to understand that I'm ashamed, deeply ashamed." I stayed still, listening. Jessica continued. When Dad was in the hospital, I knew I should have been there, but I couldn't face him. I was scared he'd tell me he was disappointed in me, so I avoided him. And when I finally showed up, I ruined everything. Her shoulders shook with silent sobs. I didn't come for the will. I came because I didn't want to be left out. But when I saw Dad choose you, all those insecurities exploded. For the first time ever, she looked honest. Broken, but honest. I'm sorry, Daniel. From the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry. Mom wiped her own tears. Oh, Jessica. I finally sat down across from her. Jess, I said quietly, do you even understand how much pain you caused? She nodded quickly. Yes, I know, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. I took a breath. Then what do you want from us? She looked up slowly.
I stood and walked to the window, staring out at the cold Denver night. I could say no. I could tell her to leave. I could remind her of every cruel word she ever said. But something inside me whispered, family isn't perfect. Family isn't always kind. Family is who you choose to forgive when they're worth forgiving. I turned back to her. Jessica. She looked up, eyes wide with fear. I'm not going to throw you out. She covered her mouth as tears flooded her eyes again. You mean it? I nodded slowly. But, I continued, I need you to understand something first. She straightened, listening carefully. You hurt Mom. You hurt me. And you dishonored Dad's memory. If you stay here, things will not be the same as before. She nodded quickly. I understand. I'll do anything. I'll earn it. Mom reached for her hand. And we'll help you get back on your feet, she said softly. Jessica broke down again, but this time her tears felt cleansing. Thank you both. And at that moment, I realized something. Sometimes forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself. Jessica moved into the small spare room in our apartment. Mom prepared the bed, changed the sheets, and made her tea, like she had been waiting months for her daughter to return. The first few days were awkward. Jessica barely spoke to me. I barely spoke to her. Mom tried her best to create peace. One evening, Jessica approached me as I was fixing a kitchen drawer. Hey, can we talk? I looked up. About what? She sat on a chair across from me. I want to make things right. With you. With Mom. With Dad's memory. I waited. I want to get a job, start therapy, rebuild my life. I don't want to be the person I was. For the first time, she seemed determined, not desperate. I nodded. That's good. She exhaled, relieved. And Daniel. Yeah? She smiled softly. Thank you for not turning me away. You did something I never would have expected from you. I smiled back gently. Let's just try again. She nodded. Okay, I'd like that. Outside, snow started falling softly, just like the night everything broke. But this time, it felt like a beginning, not an ending.